Kia ora and welcome to the Niggly Anish cast. It's your boy, the Peptoid Panther, aka Diggity Doodah Doc, here to talk through rugby league matters. We got Aotearoa Warriors stuff to touch on after they defeated Gold Coast Titans, and general Aotearoa Warriors news on the back of NRL round 14. We do have a bunch of international team lists as well, but I'm going to save all those little notes for my preview later in the week, specifically on international representative round of footy. So don't worry, we're all over that, but I'll dive into the squads and teams selected for international rep round later in the week, previewing that on the weekend, and may wiggle into some NRL discussion as well as I look towards the greater NRL matters and Kiwi NRL perspectives. You know the deal. Support the Niche Cage any way you can. Jump on Patreon. We are on Patreon. If you want to support the Niche Cage, Patreon is the best way to do it. If you want to sponsor the Niche Cast, then get your little business right here. As I'm speaking, I can mention your little business. So sponsor the Niche Cast, or just like, comment it up. Subscribe, rate and review, all that good stuff. We start with New Zealand Warriors, who have been named in rep round. So I will mention this right now because I've got a fairly interesting crew. We've got the little United Nations here at the Aotearoa Warriors. KL Iro and Brody Tamarua, they have both been named for the Cook Islands team, who will face South Africa, I believe. They are with the Jersey Flegg team, so they are under 20s, but they're in the Cook Islands team. Jackson Frey, reserve grade middle forward. He has been named alongside his three brothers in South Africa's squad. So South Africa have Jackson Frey, Brendan Frey, and Mitchell Frey all in their squad. So shout out Jackson Frey for cracking the South African squad, who face Cook Islands. And then you've got Lisana Mau, Kemba Malo, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. They are named in the Kiwi squad. And David Fusatua and Solomone Kata are named in Tonga's squad, while Chanel Harris-Tavita has been named in Samoa's squad. So that is 10 Warriors from all three of their teams named in representative footy teams this week. We got Kiwis, Tonga, Samoa, South Africa, and Cook Islands represented, which is a beautiful thing for the Aotearoa Warriors, who had a 24-20 win over the Gold Coast Titans. And I suspect there's no footy this weekend because we got rep round, so that's a good little yes, no footy, of course, and that's a good little win to carry into a week off for the Warriors, especially with a lot of older guys not playing representative footy, so the likes of Adam Blair, Isaac Luke. Tohu Harris has also been ruled unavailable for a knee injury. He only played 67 minutes in that game against the Titans, so he hasn't been selected for the Warriors, for the Kiwis either. So Tohu Harris, Adam Blair, Isaac Luke not selected in international footy. Isaiah Papali'i and Ignatius Pasi were named in the Kiwis wider squad. They drop out. No Peter Hiku, he's not playing Kiwis footy. No Cody Nikarima as well, who apparently sustained a groin injury versus the Titans. And that's kind of it of the crew who have played Kiwis footy before, or were in the mix for Kiwis footy. So it's a good opportunity just for them to rest up and take the week off. Thoughts around this Gold Coast Titans game, which the Warriors won, was... it wasn't pretty. It was a pretty mediocre game of footy. The Warriors... What I liked about the Warriors was the whole thing about just getting the win. Grabbing the 2 points and running away back to Aotearoa, because they weren't exactly clinical against the Titans, but they didn't really need to be. They took their opportunities. That was definitely for sure. They definitely for sure took their opportunities. And well, whoa. Let me back it up here. They only had 46% possession, and they scored 24 points. To me, that's rather clinical. But it's against the Gold Coast Titans defense, and the other thing about the Warriors was their defense was good enough to stop the Gold Coast Titans scoring more points than the Warriors. I really like the Warriors defense. I like their goal line defense, especially in the second half when it was kind of going set for set. It was the game was in the balance there, and the Warriors defended their try line stoutly. I think they only gave away 2 points via a penalty, and then they went down the other end of the field just kicking and defending their try line, and lots of errors from the Titans. The Titans' attack isn't exactly sublime, so the Warriors weren't exactly tested, but the Warriors did show up with an attitude of just grinding through this game. If opportunities present themselves, take those points, but it's just about doing whatever you can for victory. And there was some weird stuff going on. What the Warriors are doing, I think it was Jazz Tavanga who conceded a penalty, or like a penalty after Blake Green had put a great kick in down. Like the Warriors are defending their try line, they get the ball, Blake Green does an early kick, and then Warriors good kick chase, and then on the second or third tackle, Jazz Tavanga concedes a penalty, and the Titans are invited back down there into the field. Whether it was that, or whether it was Dave Fusatua 2 errors and Jazz Tavanga 2 errors, a lot of Warriors made errors, but those two had 2 errors, and we don't really acquaint those players with making errors. Like 2 errors from David Fusatua is an anomaly. But I say all of that to say that the Warriors kept inviting the Titans into the game. They lacked the quality to shut the Titans out. They lacked the quality to command and control this game. But that's okay, because I was just worried about the Warriors winning the game. In no way, shape or form do I think the Warriors are good enough to control and command a game of footy even against the Gold Coast Titans. But where the Warriors are at right now, they just needed confidence. They just needed 2 points. They needed to feel good about their footy and winning games of footy. So that's a good takeaway from this game for the Warriors, was just how they were able to do what was required to win the game. It would have definitely have been a whole lot better if they could shut out the Titans, if they could just keep the Titans coming off their own try line instead of inviting the Titans down their end of the field. That would have been beautiful, but it didn't happen. A couple of keys to victory for the Warriors was the efficiency and variety of the running game. So Roger Tuivasa-Sheck had 22 runs for 222 meters. That's extremely efficient. That's 11 meters per run, essentially. But Roger Tuivasa-Sheck also had 2 dummy half runs for 30 meters. So Roger Tuivasa-Sheck getting into dummy half a few times there. Kim Amalo, he had 24 runs for a massive 284 meters. This wasn't a hugely efficient game for the Warriors. You had Dave Fusatua running 16 times for 124 meters. Peter Hiku ran 14 times for 103 meters. Those are well below 10 meters per run. That's kind of 8 meters per run, 7 meters per run. That's not ideal, but there was enough there, because you also had Ignatius Parsi with 12 runs, 122 meters. You had Leeson Armau, 10 runs, 115 meters. You had Lachlan Burr coming off the bench for 8 runs and 83 meters. Tohu Harris, even with a bung knee, 9 runs, 115 meters. And I'm not suggesting that this is part of a impressive... Overall, with the general vibe, this wasn't a super impressive performance from the Warriors, but I'm just throwing out reasons as to why the Warriors, or how the Warriors could get downfield and put themselves not really in try scoring positions because they barely got in the Titans 20-meter zone, but just in touching distance where Roger Tuivasa can get the footy one-on-one and set up someone. Those type of scenarios. But it was made possible by a couple of lads, Lachlan Bear, Tohu Harris, Leeson Armau, Ignatius Parsi, Kim Mamalo, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. They generated some tempo through big runs, 9 metres per run, 10 metres per run, 11 metres per run. That's what gave the Warriors a little boost. And ideally, like Fusatua, let me just do some mathematics here to see what he was averaging. Fusatua averaging 7.75 metres per run with 2 errors. That's below average for Fusatua. That's Fusatua having a solid game. Not an amazing game, a solid game, and definitely not near his best. So it's hard to really break down this game for the Warriors against the Titans. They just got the win. That's all that matters. It's just the Warriors getting the win, racking up a couple of points, enjoying themselves, and feeling what needs to happen for them to just get confident about what they're doing. I didn't see any signs about what the Warriors, like the identity, their style of play. I did see a bit of variety in how players were running the footy. So Tuivasa-Sheck getting into dummy half. You saw a couple of times Kim Mamalo passing to David Fusatua. So he would be at first receiver and then he would pass to Fusatua, who came in on the angle. And that just switches up how the Warriors get out of their own end, because Kim Mamalo is going to be loaded up on by the opposition defense, and then he just shovels it on to Fusatua, who hits the ball hard, and then Mamalo doubles up on the next play. So there was a bit of brewing variety in how the Warriors operate, but it's difficult to come to any grand insights about the Warriors in this game because they just had to win the game. They just had to take 2 points into this week off. Job done for the NRL Warriors. The reserve grade Warriors, Canterbury Cup Warriors, they defeated the Wentworthville Magpies in a good little result for the Warriors. Yay! They defeated Wentworthville. That's good, isn't it? Yes, it's very good. Team selection here, fairly standard. Perham at centre, Cutter at centre, Adam Pompey at fullback, Adam Kieran, Chanel Harris-Tavita in the halves. Api Pefarangi came onto the bench to share the hooking duties with Tyler Slade, so no Sean Mullaney for the reserve grade Warriors. Lingy Sao had a big game, 18 runs, 171 metres, 72 post-contact metres, which is fairly beastly. Tane Milne was also impressive. He'll play for Fiji this weekend, 12 runs, 144 metres. And he did that in only 43 minutes, so good effort from Tane Milne with a try as well. Plenty of impressive performances across the board from the Warriors team. Also notable was Philip Makatoa, the Jersey Flag eligible Philip Makatoa, who played 37 minutes off the bench and had a crazy 12 runs, 139 metres, 45 post-contact metres. That's a great effort from someone who is still under 20s and only played 37 minutes. To get through that workload with that efficiency off the bench is huge impact for the Canterbury Cup Warriors. The thing I noted stats-wise in this game was the difference in touches between Adam Kieran and Chanel Harris-Tavita. Harris-Tavita had 57 touches, Adam Kieran had just 18 touches, which is huge disparity in touches there, and Adam Kieran wasn't highly involved. Chanel Harris-Tavita ran 7 times, Kieran ran twice, although the kicking was shared suitably, with Chanel Harris-Tavita having 10 kicks, Adam Kieran had 5. And when I wrote about this on Sunday, the day after this game, it was a similar case in the game before. So we have a trend emerging of Adam Kieran taking far less touches than Chanel Harris-Tavita. Chanel Harris-Tavita is obviously in control of this team for the reserve grade Warriors. So that's just an interesting little idea to keep an eye on. We did have a lot of noise around Solomone Kata possibly going to Melbourne Storm. Oh my god, he came out and scored 2 tries, I think. He had 2 tries, he had 15 runs, a crazy 176 metres running. He had 3 line breaks, 2 try assists, 7 tackle busts. Bruh, that's Solomone Kata at his finest in reserve grade. Just on this, Solomone Kata possibly leaving the Warriors. If Kata is to leave the Warriors, it's okay, and I would strongly suggest the best thing for Kata at this stage is to leave the Warriors. He came out and the headline read that Kata rubbishes rumours and whispers, whatever. The Warriors, Kata has been overtaken by Patrick Herbert. That's the only way to say it. Kata was in the team to start the season, now he's not in the team and Patrick Herbert's there. Now we also have Hayes Perham playing centre. Hayes Perham started the season either playing fullback or in the halves. Now he's been playing centre, and that means that not only has Patrick Herbert overtaken Solomone Kata, but Hayes Perham is in the mix. Solomone Kata is a better centre than Hayes Perham, but Hayes Perham is being kind of blooded as a centre, and who's to say that in the coming months or in the coming maybe next year, Hayes Perham may overtake Solomone Kata at centre. So Solomone Kata is in a hostile battle for game time and opportunity at centre with the NRL team. And I'd also throw up a couple of names just to offer the depth. So I mentioned KL Iro. He's been named in the Cook Islands team. He has played centre consistently for the Jersey Flegg Warriors. You also have Patrick Alia, who is from Christchurch, and he started the season playing centre for the Jersey Flegg Warriors, but he hasn't been cited recently, so I think he must be injured. And Raymond Vainga has been playing centre the past few weeks. And just on Raymond Vainga, he is extremely talented himself. I think he was in a Auckland Blues camp, having played rugby union with Kelston boys, I reckon. Let me just pull it up here in a second. But that is to say, Raymond Vainga is very good. Yeah, so he went to Kelston boys, and he was selected in the Blues under 18s camp last year, I think. So he obviously goes alright. And Patrick Alia. So you got 3 centres who are doing pretty well for Jersey Flegg. Not sure on the status of Patrick Alia, but he was every week to start the season, like the opening few rounds, it was Patrick Alia and KL Iro. They are good centre prospects, and so I'm saying all this just to say that the Warriors have fairly good depth at the centre position across their entire club, and it's up to Solomone Kata what he wants to do, whether he wants to fight for his position or take up opportunities elsewhere. Even like the Melbourne Storm talking about signing Kata. Melbourne Storm have pretty good centres themselves, let's be honest here. They got Will Chambers and Marion Seve. Seve has come in, he's a gun. He was signed from the Brisbane Broncos quietly maybe a year or two ago, and he started the season on the bench. Then he played a bit of wing. Now he's playing at centre in the absence of Curtis Scott. So the Melbourne Storm already have 3 pretty good centres, and then obviously you're getting into reserve grade what they have there. But yeah, I can't see a desperate need for Melbourne Storm to sign Solomone Kata unless they have like different plans for him, different ideas. So interesting narrative there around Solomone Kata. I expect Kata to stay and try and prove himself this season, and then he might leave after the season, but keep a close eye on it. I don't think it's a huge story for the Warriors. Many people are very familiar with Solomone Kata now, considering he was consistently in the Warriors team. But the thing I'd say about Solomone Kata is that he is the last kind of player of the group who were quickly ushered in from under-20s to first grade. So kind of before Stephen Kearney came in and changed the system at the Warriors, Solomone Kata is one of the remaining players who enjoyed a swift rise from under-20s to first grade NRL footy without really having to serve an apprenticeship in reserve grade. David Fusitu'a and Kemamalo played a fair bit of reserve grade. He had to earn his stripes there and wait for an opportunity. David Fusitu'a is a bit of a freak, so he settled into NRL fairly quickly. Isaiah Papali'i settled in fairly quickly as well. These guys are, if the quicker a player settles into NRL footy, the quicker you can tell they're going to be very good at this level. They've done it with ease. Whereas Jazz Tavanga, Bunty Afoa, they had to go through reserve grade. And then all the other guys have left. Tui Moala, Lolahia, Conrad Harrell, those sorts of characters. Like even going back to like Omar Slimanku or I don't know, we're going deep into the Warriors' history and I can't remember all those names, but the Solomone Kata is kind of the last one. Albert Vete, Sam Lasoni, those characters. Sam Lasoni's still at the club, but he's battling away in reserve grade. Solomone Kata hasn't been required to serve his apprenticeship in reserve grade and kind of waltzed into NRL footy. So I think it's beneficial for Kata to spend this time in reserve grade and figure out how he wants to go about his business as an NRL player. Jersey Flegg team went down to the Parramatta Eels 32-24. Fairly standard team selection. The thing that did change was William Whakatomafe coming into the halves alongside Sione Moala. So Paul Turner was initially named in the halves with Sione Moala, and we've only seen William Whakatomafe play fullback for the Jersey Flegg Warriors to this point, but he played in the halves this week, which is an interesting little wrinkle. Other than that, the team was as per the preview. They just couldn't get the job done against the Eels. So obviously Whakatomafe has a bit of versatility and is obviously viewed as being skillful enough to play in the halves with... There's two players ahead of Whakatomafe in terms of halves depth. You've got Paul Turner and Casey Smith. So either they didn't travel with the Warriors and couldn't be a late inclusion, or they are out injured and Whakatomafe is viewed as the best remaining option. Righty ho. Around the NRL, we had the Raiders get up over the Sharks. Impressive performance from the Raiders. They're a bloody good outfit, the Raiders, I'll tell you that much. And good to see plenty of Kiwi NRL players doing their job there. Shans Nickel-Croxted has been selected for the Cook Islands. Big it up to Shans. Cowboys versus West Tigers. Cowboys lost by 1 point to the West Tigers. All good, because the West Tigers have a slightly more exciting Kiwi NRL crew. Storm were too good for the Knights. I talked in the preview, I suggested that this was a huge game for Jesse Bromwich and Nelson Asofa-Solomona, because if the Knights are going to do anything, if Kalen Ponga, Mitchell Pearce, if they're going to do anything, they need to have parity at least in the middle of the park. And they couldn't get anywhere near that because the Melbourne Storm Kiwi NRL forwards did a great job. You had Jesse Bromwich, a casual 21 runs, 162 metres, 50 post-contact metres, couple of tackle busts, an offload. Standard Jesse Bromwich business. Then you had rather crazy Nelson Asofa-Solomona business. In just 36 minutes, this dude had 15 runs, 157 metres, 64 post-contact metres, a try assist, line break assist, and line break assist, all that, 3 tackle busts, 1 offload. Nelson Asofa-Solomona was emphatic versus the Knights, and that's great news for the Kiwis because he'll bring that into the Kiwis and they will need a bit of size and mobility against Tonga. Brandon Smith came off the bench. Standard Brandon Smith game. Ripped in. No crazy stats though. But it was Jesse Bromwich and Nelson Solomona who started out in the middle of the park, laying the platform for the Storm, and they just blew away the Knights. They were just too good for the Knights, and that is where the Storm won that game, because if you are unable to match the Storm in the middle of the field and they can get a bit of roll on, they sense how they can control the game, you're never going to beat the Storm. So that's a great effort from Jesse Bromwich and Nelson Solomona in the middle of the park for the Melbourne Storm. And just another casual game for Jerome Hughes at fullback. He scored a try, 18 runs, 151 metres, not a crazy running game, 43 post-contact metres, which is a bit crazy considering Jerome Hughes is a fairly small bugger. But of all the Melbourne Storm backs, Jerome Hughes had the most post-contact metres. Tells you a lot about Jerome Hughes and how he plays his footy. 7 tackle busts for Jerome Hughes and an offload. So great performance from the Melbourne Storm Kiwi NRL crew there to get the win over the Newcastle Knights. Rabbitohs versus Panthers. Big minutes from James Fisher-Harris to help the Panthers get a 1-point victory over the Rabbitohs. Fisher-Harris played, I think he played the whole game almost. Let me check. He definitely got through a standard mountain of work that he is becoming renowned for. Like, he is probably the best Kiwi NRL workhorse in the competition. James Fisher-Harris had 74 minutes. I think this was a bit of extra time as well. Maybe. I don't know. Can't remember. Fisher-Harris had not overly efficient with Fisher-Harris. You're not looking for that efficiency. You're just looking for niggle, 1%ers, effort. Fisher-Harris had 23 runs for 140 metres. So again, not hugely efficient, but that's not what you're looking for with Fisher-Harris. The efficient Fisher-Harris. You're not looking for that. You're just looking for workload, niggle, energy, those kind of things. Eels were too good for the Broncos, 38 points to 10. Seagulls were far too good for the Dragons, 34 points to 14. And then you had the Roosters were far too good for the Bulldogs. The Roosters gave game time to Poasa Fa'amasili, who I believe is a Glenora Bears junior in Auckland. And you had Joseph Manu playing fullback, which was cool as fuck. Joseph Manu at fullback, 80 minutes, 2 tries, 24 runs, 219 metres for Joseph Manu playing fullback. Haven't really viewed Joseph Manu as a fullback, but that performance was damn good. 64 post-contact metres, 2 line breaks, one line break assist, 1 try assist, 10 tackle busts. Joseph Manu was on fire at fullback for the Roosters against the Bulldogs, as well as Isaac Liu. 16 runs, 166 metres. Great performance from Isaac Liu, and as we have come to expect, another great performance from the Otara Scorpion Junior, Siosua Tokiaho, who had 16 runs and 173 metres. Tokiaho had 1 tackle bust. Isaac Liu had 4. So a cheeky little win there for Isaac Liu. As I said, Poasa Fa'amasili did play for the Roosters in this game. 3 runs, 37 metres, an efficient little stint off the bench in 14 minutes. Satili Tuponuia, named in the wider Tongan squad, he scored a try. Maris Saints Jr., 5 runs, 59 metres. Check out this. So Zane Tedavano, off the bench, 6 runs, 65 metres, well over 10 metres per run. Satili Tuponuia, 5 runs, 59 metres, well over 10 metres per run. Poasa Fa'amasili, 3 runs, 37 metres, well over 10 metres per run. That's great impact. All 3 are Kiwi NRL forwards. All 3 averaged over 10 metres per run. All 3 came off the bench. All 3 play a crucial role in the Roosters' depth. Everyone talks about the Roosters' top tier talent. The thing about the Roosters is they have some of the best up and coming talent, like Nat Butcher playing for the Roosters. No one knows about him. He did a great job at lock. Then you got, Sam Verrills looks like a little live wire out of dummy half. Tedavano, Tupanoia, Fa'amasili. Joseph Manu's shown that he can play fullback and cover that. They went out and recruited Ryan Hall. Roosters can do no wrong, to be honest. Also interested in the Bulldogs. The Bulldogs aren't a very good team, but of course we had Dallin Waitane-Zelezniak join the Bulldogs. He went to fullback, actually, so he swapped with Nick Meaney. Nick Meaney went to the wing. Remus Smith went into centre, which is cool, and then Nick Meaney played on the wing with Waitane-Zelezniak at fullback here to leave the field with a little head injury. But it was good to see Remus Smith playing at centre. Kieran Foran was busy. Kieran Foran was very busy running the footy, darting around the field, and kind of looked like he was desperate to make a good impression to earn Kiwi's selection. But Manu Brown was a late call-up to play halves with Kieran Foran, so we had an all-Kiwi NRL halves combination for the Bulldogs. And they shared the footy nicely. Manu Brown had 59 touches, Kieran Foran had 47 touches, so fairly even there, and they both had 11 kicks, which was beautiful. Manu Brown, left-footed kicking game, so I'm interested to see how that progresses for the Bulldogs, because I think it's a combination. I think that's their best combination. Manu Brown and Kieran Foran, obviously Kiwi NRL bias, but I think Manu Brown's a bit more dynamic, a bit more classier than Jack Cogger. Jeremy Marshall-King has suddenly discovered dummy half running as a dummy half. He played 77 minutes and he had 7 dummy half runs for 121 metres. This is on the back of a monumental dummy half run. I think he had 9 dummy half runs for well over 100 metres last week, and he's just started doing this, so good on him. Jeremy Marshall-King doesn't look overly fast at a dummy half, but he spots a gap and he hits that gap and he always makes meters, so shout out to him. And yeah, that's it for that Bulldogs Roosters game, and that's it for this week's episode of the Newscast Rugby League edition. Stay tuned, because I will be writing about all these international team lists, and I'll come back later in the week to talk through these international rugby league team lists. Plenty of interesting little wrinkles: Samoa, Tonga, Cook Islands, Fiji, Kiwi Ferns. Beautiful times for international rugby league. See you soon. Ka kite.